ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. أما بعد, before we continue in Kitab al-Siyam, the book of fasting from Sahih Imam Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala, we are days, inshallah ta'ala, before the month of Ramadan, the most blessed month in the year, and to witness the month of Ramadan is a great favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To be alive during the month of Ramadan is a great favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best who would be alive and who would not. The people in the grave, they would wish they would come back to this life, not for the food and the drink and the social activities and so on, but for no reason but to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to live more than one Ramadan and to gain from the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after the matter has been made clear to them. The real ghubn, or the real cheating to oneself, when a person doesn't take advantage of this precious life that we live in. Life is counted by how many breaths we take, not by the years and so on. It's every breath is so precious in this life. And everybody will regret in the Day of Judgment, even the believers. Even the believers, they will regret the time that they didn't spend in the remembrance of Allah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He chose the believers to be among the people of Jannah, there is no sorrow for them, there is no grief for them, there is no sadness whatsoever once they enter Jannah. So definitely this is the most wise individual, is the one that take advantage of this time for what's coming ahead in the hereafter. So the wajib, or what's mandatory for us nowadays, is to have this longing for the month of Ramadan. And if we find in our hearts some form of unease, it's going to be difficult, fasting, long days and so on, then we need to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness, to purify our hearts, because really if we know the rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and nobody would ever know, nobody can ever comprehend it, the soul will be enjoying this so much. Not necessarily the physical body, but there is another type of happiness which nobody can describe. It's the happiness of one's soul. And the Prophet ﷺ said in authentic Hadith, الصائمين فرحتان فرحة عند فطره وفرحة عند لقاء ربه. That the fasting person has two moments of joy. The first moment when he's breaking his fast, and the second moment when he meets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Day of Judgment. So to achieve this level of ubudiyyah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we are nobody whatsoever, that we are nothing, that we have no power and might except from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this level of submission, this is something that we need to make sure that it's present in our hearts, and to start the month with state of repentance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from all sins. The real successful person is the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with him before the month of Ramadan. Because whatever act of worship is done in the month of Ramadan is really a reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with. Some people wait for the month of Ramadan to change. MashaAllah, this is good, but the month of Ramadan is a reward also for those who were steadfast and those who were seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for them to elevate themselves in the fasting and in the night prayer. Everybody can do physically the same act, but people will be in so much different levels with regards to the rewards according to what? According to what's in the hearts. Physically they will do the same thing, but the hearts are different from one to the other. The same thing with the salah, the same thing with fasting, the same thing with everything. So the dua and repenting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, definitely this is a very important job to be done. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who witness the month of Ramadan, and to make it easy for us to establish the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We continue, inshallah ta'ala. The chapters will be dealing with more of the fiqh issues of Ramadan, as we would see, inshallah ta'ala. And there's no shyness in the religion, and we need to talk about some matters and the things that breaks the fast and so on as it will come. This is not a session of fiqh, so we won't be organizing the talk according to what a session of fiqh would be. We're reading the Hadith of Shaykh Bukhari, so be patient inshallah ta'ala with listening to the chain of narrations and many names of men and so on, because this is meant to be this way. And seeking rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and making salat on the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam every time we hear the name of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. He says, rahimahullah, باب قول الله جل ذكره أحل لكم ليلة الصيام الرفث إلى نسائكم هن لباس لكم وأنتم لباس لهن علم الله أنكم كنتم تختانون أنفسكم فتاب عليكم وعفى عنكم فالآن باشروهن وابتغوا ما كتب الله لكم. The chapter of the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the title of the chapter is a verse in the Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 187, that talks about fasting. The meaning of which that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it permissible for the believers the night of fasting, Laylat al-Siyam, the night of fasting. Al-Rafathu ila nisaikum. Al-Rafath is basically al-Jima' or relations between a husband and his wife. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that this is permissible for you during the night of Ramadan. During the day of Ramadan, it's a major sin. And whoever falls into this major sin, the way to expiate it is to fast 2 consecutive months. Since there is no slaves, is to fast 2 consecutive months for that one act. And if a person is not able then to fast or to feed 60 poor people, if he's not able to fast 2 consecutive months. So this is a major sin. If a person would do what is halal, that is a rewardable act if it's done other than the day of Ramadan when a person is fasting. As the Prophet ﷺ said, وَفِي بُضْعِ أَحَدِكُمْ صَدَقَةً. When one of you have relations with his wife, this is sadaqah, this is a charity. They said to the Prophet ﷺ, أَيَأْتِي أَحَدُنَا شَهْوَتَهُ وَلَهُ فِيهَا أَجْرٌ. One of us will fulfill his desire and he gets a reward. The Prophet ﷺ said, أَرَأَيْتُمْ إِنْ وَضَعَهَا فِي الْحَرَامِ كَانَ عَلَيْهِ وِزْرٌ. See if he have it in the haram, in a sinful way, wouldn't that be a sinful act? They said yes. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, then when it's halal, then he gets a reward for it. And this is the beauty of the deen. It is not a dirty thing as some people think. It's not something filthy, as some cultures or some people might think. This is a rewardable act. This is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have in the innate of every human being, as long as it's done in the permissible way, in the halal way. It is such an amazing thing. You see, for example, those who have pure nature, I want to get out of the subject, those who have pure nature, right, if their daughter or their mother or their wife, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all the Muslim women from haram. If something happens in haram, and say for example she's pregnant, how shameful the matter is and how shameful she is. But on the other hand, see when she's married and she's pregnant, what happens? People are congratulations and people are so happy and she's walking so proud of herself, right? And this is all by just the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This word that makes what's haram, halal. Nothing but some words to be said and witnesses and a waliyah. The matter is so easy and simple. But this is the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's the difference between sinful life and a blessed life to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the night of Ramadan, this is permissible for people to have relations, but during the day this is such a sinful act for the Muslim who is fasting the day of Ramadan. هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُنَّ. This is such a beautiful explanation of how the relationship between man and woman, husband and wife, that they are to one another like a garment. And this shows the beauty of the expressions here, that does not say things explicit, but makes it in a very decent way, it shows how the manners that should be observed between husband and wife, how that she is the closest to her husband and the husband is closest to his wife, and how the shaitan will get into that relationship in particular to make them always in dispute and so on. And that's why they should witness this, to be patient with one another. علم الله أنكم كنتم تختانون أنفسكم فتاب عليكم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He knew that you used to تختانون أنفسكم, that you used to have relations with your wife and eat and drink in the time that you think it was forbidden for you. What does that mean? It will be explained in the hadith, but very briefly. Before this ayah, they used to, whenever a person is fasting and the night time comes, And if anyone sleeps after Maghrib, then there's no food or drink or relations with his wife till the next day at Maghrib. Right? So this is how they used to do things. Till the ayah came, which make it permissible for them that they have relations during the night. And there's an incident by Umar ibn Khattab and others were also the Sahabi that we would hear in the Hadith. He came after Maghrib and he was working all day. And it was Ramadan, he was fasting. And he was so tired that he slept. And when he slept, his wife, as we would hear, she felt bad for him because once he sleeps, no suhoor, no nothing. He has to continue the next day in fasting, and he fainted as it will come, inshallah ta'ala. So the point is, they used to, this something was very difficult for them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He knows subhanahu wa ta'ala that this is something that you are going through. فَتَابَ عَلَيْكُمْ. He forgave you because some of them would, his wife would say, I slept. He says, no, you didn't sleep. Right? So that he can fulfill his desire, things of that nature. وَعَفَى عَنْكُمْ. And he had pardoned you. فَالْآنَ بَشِرُهُنْ. And now بَشِرُهُنْ. Enjoy your wives after the matter became permissible for you. وَابْتَغُوا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. And seek what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made it permissible for you. And this is again a rewardable act. Then the hadith explains the ayah. He says حدثنا عبيد الله بن موسى عن إسرائيل عن أبي إسحاق عن البراء رضي الله عنه قال براء بن عازب رضي الله عنه saying كان أصحاب محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا كان الرجل صائما, the أصحاب, the companions of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, whenever a man was to be fasting, فحضر الإفطار, الإفطار, time of إفطار, breaking the fast comes, فنام قبل أن يفطر, if he sleeps before he breaks his fast, لم يأكل ليلته ولا يومه حتى يمسي. He would not eat during the night and the next day till the night comes. وإن قيس بن صرمة الأنصاري, one of the companions of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, كان صائما, he was fasting. فلما حضر الإفطار أتى امرأته. When it's time for breaking the fast, he went to his wife. فقال لها أعندك طعام? He told her, do you have any food? قالت لا. She said, I don't have any. And again, it's a lesson for us what would happen to us if you go home in Ramadan after a long day of work and fasting, and you go home and your wife tells you there is no food for you to break your fast. She said لا, ولكن أنطلق فأطلب لك. She said there is no food, but I will go and get you food. وكان يومه يعمل. He was working the whole day. فغلبته عيناه. His eyes overpowered him. That means he slept. فجاءته امرأته. His wife came. فلما رأته قالت, when she saw him sleeping, she said, خيبة لك. خيبة لك means disgrace on you, or loss, basically loss. You're in big loss now. Because he slept, that means he can't sleep, he can't do anything. فلما انتصف النهار غشي عليه. When it was in the middle of the day, he fainted the next day. فذكر ذلك للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فنزلت هذه الآية. This was mentioned to the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, and the ayah was revealed. أحل لكم ليلة الصيام الرفث إلى نسائكم, that it made permissible for you during the night of fasting that you will have relations with your wife. ففرحوا بها فرحا شديدا. They were so happy and rejoicing because of this ayah. فرحا شديدا, too much happiness as a result of this ayah. ونزلت, and also the other ayah was revealed. وكلوا واشربوا حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود من الفجر. Eat and drink till the white thread of the day is clear from the black thread of the night. It's not a thread, a physical thread. It's the whiteness of the day and the darkness of the night, which is basically the break of Fajr, the break of dawn. Once it's there, then you cannot eat, but you eat and drink till there. There's no time before that where you stop. You stop right at the time of Fajr. So they were happy because of how the matter was very difficult for them. And it shows also how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raised the companions radiallahu anhum, and how they were in state of submission. This is all by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most wise. And we need to compare ourselves and see how this level of submission, there is no dispute. There is no why. Can we do this or can we do that? Their goal is they know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from them and they do it. They have this state of submission, and that's why nobody will have established himself in the deen of Islam till he reached this level of submission. till there is no questioning whatsoever to the orders of Allah, that the Muslim would say, سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا, I listen and I obey. His goal is to know, and that's it. Once he knows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from him something, he submits himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And because of these blessings that they were in that state of submission, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed this ummah, that many of these things were relieved for the ummah. Right? In the beginning, the night prayer was mandatory for the Prophet ﷺ and the companions of the Allah. And then the ummah was relieved from this. And the Prophet ﷺ was still mandatory on him. Right? By the submission of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu. Also the Hadith in Sahih Muslim and others, the last two verses in Surah Al-Baqarah, when the ayah was revealed, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the believers, إِن تُبْدُوا مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَوْ تُخْفُوهُ يُحَاسِبُكُمْ بِهِ اللَّهُ, that whether you conceal inside of yourself or you expose it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold you accountable for it. They came to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Hadith says, جَثَوْا عَلَى الرُّكَبِ, they fell on their knees. They said, O Prophet of Allah, we have been ordered to do things that is in our capacity. We were ordered to establish the salah, pay the zakat, fight for the sake of Allah. This is in their capacity. But this ayah is not in our capacity. Meaning that the whim, that the person has no responsibility of it, a whim comes like this, shaitan throws something in one's self, that means this person will be held accountable for his whims. So the Prophet ﷺ told them, do you want to be like Bani Israel? They said, سَمِعْنَا وَعَصَيْنَا, we listen and we disobey. Say, سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا غُفْرَانَكَ رَبَّنَا وَإِلَيْكَ الْمَصِيرُ. Say it like this. The narrator of the hadith, he says, فَلَمَّا ذَلَّتْ بِهَا أَلْسِنَتُهُمْ, when their tongues humbled itself to this word, they said it really and they meant it, we listen and we obey. If it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one that ordered us, then He is the one that is the most wise. We listen and we obey, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness, and to Him we shall return. When they said this, the last two verses were revealed. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not put a burden on a soul that doesn't bear. This is by the blessings of the submission of the companions radiallahu anhum. Imagine, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just for the sake of imagining, that they did like Bani Israel. How much the matter would have been so difficult on this ummah. So that's why when we say the belief in the Sahaba radiallahu anhum and we love them, this is part of our deen. It's because it's mentioned in the Quran and so on. So the point is that these types of things were raising the Sahaba to be steadfast, and that's why they were so happy when the ayah was revealed. Then the next chapter, he says, باب قول الله تعالى وكلوا واشربوا حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود من الفجر ثم أتموا الصيام إلى الليل. The statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, eat and drink till the light of the day is clear from the darkness of the night, from the Fajr, then complete your fasting till the night. He says, فيه البراء عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. In this chapter is the previous hadith of Al-Bara ibn Azib رضي الله عنه from the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام that he mentioned the ayah at the end. And another hadith that he will mention. He says, حدثنا حجاج بن منهال قال حدثنا هشيم قال أخبرني حصين بن عبد الرحمن عن الشعبي عن عدي بن حاتم رضي الله عنه قال لما نزلت حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود, when this ayah was revealed that we just mentioned, عدي بن حاتم رضي الله عنه, he said, عمدت إلى عقال أسود وإلى عقال أبيض. He said, I went and I took a rope. Al-Aqal is the rope that they tie the camel with, right? So he went and he got a white rope and a black rope, because the essence, khaytul abyad, the white thread from the black thread. Eat and drink till the white thread is clear from the black thread. So literally that's what it says. So he went and he got white rope and a black rope. فَجَعَلْتُهُمَا تَحْتَ وِسَادَتِي. And he said, I made them underneath my pillow. فَجَعَلْتُ أَنْظُرُ فِي اللَّيْلِ. And I kept looking at them during the night. فَلَا يَسْتَبِينُ لِي. And it was not made clear to you. Still, they're not clear one from the other. فَغَدَوْتُ عَلَى رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. The time the adhan came and he went to make salah, and he still cannot see the white from the black underneath his pillow. So he said, فَغَدَوْتُ. غَدَوْتُ meaning that I went in the morning, right? Fajr time or after, to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فَذَكَرْتُ لَهُ ذَلِكَ. Right? He said, I mentioned that to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّمَا ذَلِكَ سَوَادُ اللَّيْلِ وَبَيَاضُ النَّهَارِ. The Prophet ﷺ told them that what is meant by the ayah is the darkness of the night and the light of the day. And it shows that, as the ulama, they mention this evidence, that the Arabic language alone is not enough, right, to be able to apply even the Quran. We have to follow the way of the Prophet ﷺ. So if a person is the most eloquent and the strongest person in matters of language, of course the Quran alone is not enough, because the other wahy is the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. But some things in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, definitely the person needs more than just the language. Many things, of course, the whole deen. The language, that's why Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah, in the tafsir, he mentioned the Arabic language as one of the criteria of tafsir, but he mentioned it as the last one. The first one, the Quran explains the Quran. The second thing, the Quran explains the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. The Sunnah explains the Quran. So if there's something in the Sunnah that explains an ayah, this is then definitely we take it. Then the third one is that the Sahabi, the companion of the Prophet ﷺ, make a tafsir of the ayah. Then we take that, because he will not speak from his own. That means he heard it from the Prophet ﷺ. Number 4, the Tabi'i, the next generation after the Sahaba, we take their tafsir. And number 5 is the Arabic language. Right? So this is an example that they always mention. So again here it shows the beginning of Fajr. The beginning of Fajr, this is how it is, as it will be mentioned also in the next hadith. It's difficult, of course, to see it when there's light and we cannot see the horizon. It has to be extremely dark, and it has to be also, you can see the horizon where the skies and the earth, they meet. With your eyesight, you can see that. If you can see it, then you cannot really get the time of Fajr in a very precise way, because it happens in a second. Right? And if a person gets to see that, you'd see that clearly. And there's two types of Fajr. There's the Fajr al-Kadhib or Fajr al-Sadiq. The wrong Fajr and the truthful one. The one that counts for the Salah and fasting and everything. Before the true Fajr comes, if a person is watching the horizon, he would see light that comes, sometimes an hour, half an hour, something like this. But the light comes and it goes high, and then it disappears. The true Fajr, when it comes, it spreads and then it goes through. So it does not shoot in the middle of the skies and goes away. It's very clear, different from that to the other. And it's a very precise moment that if a person is looking at the darkness night, the darkness of the night is right before Fajr. This is the darkness part of the night, right? So it's the darkness part of the night, and then all of a sudden the first level of lightness or light would come on the horizon. This is the beginning of Al-Fajr. So this is basically where a person can stop eating and drinking, right? Before that, he can eat and drink. When people make for themselves 15 minutes, 10 minutes, right, and even back home to some time before, they used to do that. The calendar even of the salawat and the prayers, I'm not sure if there's any other places they do that. The time of Fajr, they say, Fajr, the adhan is, for example, 4 o'clock, stop eating at 3:45. Al-imsak, they call it al-imsak, stop eating as if this is a way of being cautious or whatever. There's no such a thing, that it says it clearly. But if they're not sure when is the Fajr, it's a different situation, right? But they know for sure that Fajr starts at 4. That means you eat, if you know for sure that this is the time of Fajr, you eat and drink till the time of Fajr comes. If you're not sure, you eat till you're sure, right? So, of course, we use the calculations and so I'm not going to get into the details of this. Whatever is written in front of us, that's what we follow, and we should not go beyond that. There's some rulings here. If you're eating and the adhan is called, right, then of course you have to stop eating. Unless, and this is the Hadith of Ibn Umar and others, where if a person is drinking and the adhan is called, he should finish drinking. He should finish whatever is, not to get something more, just finish whatever he is drinking. The Hadith says, I don't have time before the Salah if there is any questions. It says, حدثنا سعيد بن أبي مريم قال حدثنا ابن أبي حازم عن أبي عن سهل بن سعد. That's a junction in the isnad. حدثني سعيد بن أبي مريم قال حدثنا أبو غسان محمد بن مطرف قال حدثني أبو حازم عن سهل بن سعد قال, he said, أنزلت وكلوا واشربوا حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود وَلَمْ يَنْزِلْ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. The ayah was revealed, came down, and it was not mentioned, or the word مِنَ الْفَجْرِ was not down yet. فَكَانَ رِجَالٌ إِذَا أَرَادُوا الصَّوْمَ رَبَطَ أَحَدُهُمْ فِي رِجْلِهِ الْخَيْطَ الْأَبْيَضَ. This narration explains more why Adi ibn Hatim did what he did. Because the ayah was revealed was not completed yet. So the ayah was only till, it says, eat and drink, till the white thread is clear from the black thread. That's it. So that's why he did what he did. So he said, فَكَانَ رِجَالٌ, some men, إِذَا أَرَادُوا الصَّوْمَ رَبَطَ أَحَدُهُمْ فِي رِجْلِهِ الْخَيْطَ الْأَبْيَضَ وَالْخَيْطَ الْأَسْوَدَ. Some men would tie in their legs the white thread and the black thread. وَلَا زَالَ يَأْكُلُ حَتَّى يَتَبَيْنَ لَهُ رُؤْيَتُهُمَا, and he would continue to eat till he is able to see the difference between the white and the black. فَأَنزَلَ اللَّهُ بَعْدُ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed after that مِنَ الْفَجْرِ, from the Fajr. فَعَلِمُوا أَنَّهُ إِنَّمَا يَعْنِ اللَّيْلَ وَالنَّهَارِ. Then they know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala meant by this is the day and the night. And it shows the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the matter of the deen is made so clear. Right? Especially with matters of obligations, there won't be any ambiguity in it. That's why one of the benefits also that the ulama, they say in this, something like fasting, a pillar of Islam. Right? The things that breaks the fast has to be mentioned clearly. So when people start talking about what breaks the fast, and they get into so much details, the dust in the street, and the smoke from this, and I turn the car and I smell something, does that break my fast? This is something that would not be left like this for things for people to not sure or sure. The matter is so clear. And the things that breaks the fast is anything, of course, that has jum, has a solid thing or so that goes down the throat, or water, right, that goes down the throat. This is what breaks the fast, or relations, as we know. Then he says, باب قول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يمنعنكم من سحوركم أذان بلال. The chapter of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم saying لا يمنعنكم لا يمنعنكم لا يمنعنكم من سحوركم أذان بلال. The adhan of Bilal, since the sentence in English you have to go from the end. The adhan of Bilal should not stop you from your sahur. Sahur is the food itself, with the fatha. Sahur is the food. Suhoor with the dhamma is the act itself, that you're eating suhoor. So the food itself, it's called sahur. So if you want to tell someone, come and eat, right? Come eat the food of as-sahur, of sahur, right? And if somebody asks you what you're doing, I'm eating suhoor. I'm doing the act of suhoor. So anyway, so the Prophet ﷺ is saying, the adhan of Bilal should not stop you from eating your suhoor. Why? As it will come in the hadith, the adhan of Bilal. If you hear the adhan of Bilal, don't stop eating, continue to eat. It's okay. Right? The hadith says, حدثنا عبيد بن إسماعيل عن أبي أسامة عن عبيد الله عن نافع عن ابن عمر والقاسم بن محمد عن عائشة رضي الله عنها. She said, أن بلالا كان يؤذن بليل. Bilal used to make adhan during the night, bilayl. That means before Fajr. It means there's two adhan for Fajr. One adhan during the night, right? Before the time of Fajr. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كلوا واشربوا حتى يؤذن ابن أم مكتوم. He said to the people, eat and drink till Ibn Maktoum make adhan. His adhan is the adhan of Fajr. This is where you stop eating and drinking. If you hear the adhan of Bilal, don't stop eating and drinking. فإنه لا يؤذن حتى يطلع الفجر. Prophet ﷺ said that Ibn Maktoum رضي الله عنه, he does not make adhan till the Fajr comes. قال القاسم ولم يكن بين آذانهما إلا أن يبقى ذا وينزل ذا. He said the difference between the two adhan is the time when Bilal comes down radiallahu anhu, and Ibn Maktoum goes up. It means it's very short between the two. But even that short period of time, Prophet ﷺ is telling them, don't stop when you're eating, when you're listening to the adhan of Bilal. After Bilal finishes and he comes down, then Ibn Maktoum goes up. Once he makes the adhan, that's the adhan of Fajr. This is the issue of the two adhan. There is two adhan for Fajr, yes. One adhan before the time of Fajr. This is what Bilal radiallahu anhu used to make, for he used to make the adhan for the rest of the salawat. But for Fajr, there used to be two mu'adhinin. One is Bilal before the first one, and then insects and animals and so on, like that. And I'm a'ma, I'm blind. وَلَيْسَ لِي قَائِدٌ يَقُودُنِي الْمَسْجِدِ. And I have no one to take me to the masjid. And I'm blind, and there is, wild animals in Medina. Can you give me rukhsa, permission to pray at home? So the Prophet ﷺ told him, he gave him the rukhsa, he gave him the break. But then when he was leaving, Abdullah ibn Maktoum, the Prophet ﷺ called him. He said, أَتَسْمَعُ لِذَا? Do you listen? Do you hear the adhan? He said, yes. He said, لَا أَجِدُ لَكَ رُخْصَةً. He said, I don't find a break for you. You have to come. If you hear the adhan, you have to come. Blind, have nobody to take him to the masjid, he still has to come to the masjid. And it shows how Salatul Jama'ah is not an easy matter. And somebody might say, but what is the hearing the adhan? If the adhan is being called outside, that's definitely the sunnah for the adhan to be called outside for people to see. Even when there's microphone, and the microphone even sounds outside, the mu'adhin at the time of the Prophet ﷺ used to be seen. If a person is deaf, if a person is not able to hear, he would see the mu'adhin, right? That means this is the time of the adhan. Plus, it's the sha'ar of the deen. It's the deen being. It's a beautiful thing for people to see the mu'adhin, right? Even when people come with cars and so on, they see the mu'adhin is making the adhan outside, because the adhan is needed for those who are outside. Anyway, but this is a separate point. The point is that if the adhan is being called outside, no microphones, no nothing, just one's voice, and there's no buildings and no trees and no wind or anything like that, how far the voice can go, this is what everybody living in that proximity, it is mandatory for them to come for Salatul Jama'ah. And they said it's a radius of 1.5 miles, if everything is calm and so on. But it's another issue here in this country. When we choose to live far away, yes, Salatul Jama'ah might not be mandatory, but what's the value of this life? If the Salatul Jama'ah is not being established, then anyway, no matter where the Muslim is at, once the Salat time comes, as the Prophet ﷺ said, then he should make Salat. This is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves for the Muslims to do. Whenever he's at work, he's far away, there's no masjid, he prays, وَجُعْلَتْ لِي الْأَرْضُ مَسْجِدًا وَطَهُورًا. The earth has been made for me a place of worship and a place of purity. So going again to the hadith. Abdullah ibn Maktoum, he was blind. And how would he know the time of Fajr? He had someone that would tell him. Right? He would tell him it's time for Fajr, and then he would get up and he would make the adhan. And the two adhan, it is from the sunnah? Yes. It's from the sunnah, especially if this is the first adhan, is what's the purpose of it? For people to get ready, to wake up those who are asleep, and to the one that is making salah to pay attention to finish his salah. Night prayer and so on, to make his witr. Once he hears the adhan of Bilal, if he's making the night prayer, and this is how they used to be, right? So then he would finish his salah before the time of Fajr. And that's why if the two adhan are being practiced, then it has to be two separate people. And they do it back home. Sometimes it's the same person. That confuses everybody. The neighbors, of course, the mu'adhin is usually one person, right? If things are easy, always there's a mu'adhin ratib and there's imam ratib. There's imam of a masjid and there's a mu'adhin of the masjid. And the mu'adhin, as it's mentioned in the books of fiqh, the ones that choose the mu'adhin are the neighbors, because he's the one that is living with them. He's the one that his voice is going back and forth every day, 5 times a day. So if it's someone that disturbs them, they want someone with a good voice. So, but for Fajr, there's another one has to be making the adhan different, so that they would know the difference. Oh, this is the first adhan because it's that person is making the adhan. Their mu'adhin is different, and so on. So this is with the two adhan. It was done at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And if it's two adhan are being said, then the first one would have as-salatu khayru min an-nawm, not the second one. And if the first one is not said, only one, then that one would have as-salatu khayru min an-nawm. Right? So going back to the fasting point here, is that it's the adhan of Fajr that counts. Not even 5 minutes before it, not even nothing. If it's the Fajr, before that a person can eat and drink till the time of Fajr. Then he says, باب تأخير السحور, the chapter of تأخير, delaying السحور, to make it late. That he does not say anything, he just says it like this. And this is his way, rahimahullah, in his titles. He's talking about a mas'ala here, delaying the suhoor. Is it permissible? Is it recommended? Is it not permissible? What's the ruling here? That will be shown in the hadith. He says, حدثنا محمد بن عبيد الله قال حدثنا عبد العزيز بن أبي حازم عن أبي حازم عن سهل بن سعد رضي الله عنه قال كنت أتسحر في أهلي ثم تكون سرعتي أن أدرك السجود مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. سهل بن سعد رضي الله عنه said كنت أتسحر في أهلي. I used to eat my suhoor with my family at home. ثم تكون سرعتي, then I would go fast. أن أدرك السجود مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, so that I would catch the Salatul Fajr with the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. And that leads to the next chapter. What is the time between the suhoor and the salah? That means they used to make the suhoor very close. And by the time he finished the suhoor, he has to be very fast so that he can catch the salah. So that he can catch the salah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there is a hadith of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, لا يزال الناس بخير ما عجلوا الفطرة وأخروا السحور. People will continue to be in goodness as long as they are in haste when breaking their fast right after Maghrib, and they delay the suhoor. And this is from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and one of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed this ummah with. And you see the great benefit behind it, how the submission is. If a person fasting the whole day, hungry and thirsty, and he can say for himself, if I wait till Isha, that means that's a sign that I'm a very strong person for the sake of Allah. You did not stop eating and drinking because of your own decision. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us. So at Fajr time you're ordered to stop, you stop. At time of Maghrib you are ordered to eat, then you have to eat. And you are not to delay it. And to the extent of which the ulama, they talked about the mu'adhin. The mu'adhin for Maghrib. Should he break his fast first, or he should make the adhan first? Right? Just the fact that this is an issue to be mentioned, because he has to break his fast right away. He should not delay his fast. And of course the ruling here, Allahu A'lam, is that he should make the adhan first, because of the majority of the people, this is the rights is first, and then he should be patient till he finishes, and then he eats something, unless it's a sip of water or something, then that's okay. So the point here is the sunnah to break the fast immediately. If a person is on the way to the masjid, doesn't have anything, with his intentions he has to break his fast. If he doesn't have anything to break his fast, he has to make a decision that I broke my fast, and not to delay and not to wait. So this hadith again proves that it's the sunnah to delay the suhoor. If a person was not able, he was tired, he has certain schedule, whatever, then there's no harm. If a person doesn't eat suhoor whatsoever, still the fasting is valid. But the Prophet ﷺ ordered us, and he said, تَسَحَّرُوا فَإِنَّ فِي السَّحُورِ بَرَكَةً. Eat suhoor because indeed there is barakah in it. If you want to make sure that your food has barakah in it, eat suhoor. This is the only meal that is mentioned that has barakah in it. And the barakah is with all means of goodness. And you can let your imagination go with what barakah means. Cure and health and all kinds of good things. And help with matters of fasting. And the more it's delayed, the better. And it's 1 month, the person and the family get together for this. And even for those who are not fasting, it's a blessed meal. So they can also share and sit to share this blessed meal, the meal of the suhoor. Then he says, قدر كم بين السحور وصلاة الفجر. قدر كم. How much is the difference between suhoor and Salatul Fajr? What is the difference in time between eating the suhoor and Salatul Fajr? Not adhan al-Fajr, the salah. But the hadith talks about the adhan and so on. And said, حدثنا مسلم بن إبراهيم قال حدثنا هشام قال حدثنا قتادة عن أنس عن زيد بن ثابت رضي الله عنه قال تسحرنا مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم قام إلى الصلاة. He said we eat suhoor with the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, then he stood up for the salah, then he went for the salah. قلت كم كان بين الأذان والسحور. How long was between the adhan and the suhoor? The adhan here does not mean the adhan of Fajr. The adhan here means the iqamah. This is not something that I'm making up, right? The iqamah is called adhan, right? As the Prophet ﷺ said, ما بين الأذانين ما بين كل أذانين صلاة. As the hadith says, between every 2 adhan there is a salah. Meaning between every adhan and iqamah there is salah. Sunnah, if there is sunnah ratiba, then it's sunnah ratiba. If not, any 2 rak'ah. So between the adhan and iqamah of Maghrib, Asr, and so on. So the iqamah is also mentioned, is given the name of al-adhan. And why is that? Because of the context. Zayd ibn Thabit radiallahu anhu is saying, we ate suhoor with the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, then he went to the salah, then he ثم قام إلى الصلاة. So they asked him, how long was it between the iqamah and the suhoor? He said, قال قدر 50 آية. The time of 50 ayah. The time that is enough for a person to recite 50 ayah. 15-20 minutes. Between the suhoor and the iqamah of the salah. That means the method is close. قل باب بركة السحور من غير إيجاب. The barakah of السحور, the barakah of the suhoor meal before Fajr, من غير إيجاب, without being mandatory. Right? That this is something recommended, there's barakah in it, there's blessings in it. And we said the meaning of barakah means the khair stays, istidamatul khair. That goodness is not just comes and goes, no, the goodness comes and stays. So the benefit of the food stays, the goodness of it will stay, but without being obligatory. It's not mandatory to eat suhoor, it's something recommended and it's blessed. يقول لأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وأصحابه واصلوا ولم يذكر السحور. Because the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم and his companions واصلوا, they connected. What is the meaning of واصلوا? That means they fasted 2 days without eating in between anything, and nothing was mentioned about the suhoor. Brings the issue of al-wusal. Is it permissible for a Muslim to make wusal? To fast 2 days without eating anything at night? This is something that the Prophet ﷺ used to do as it will come. It was a special thing for the Prophet ﷺ. Right? And he explained to them the reason for that as it will come in the Hadith. But for us, for the followers of the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ forbade them from al-wusal, forbade them from connecting the 2 days without eating anything in between during the night. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum, because of their eagerness to do what is good, they kept on asking the Prophet ﷺ and begging the Prophet ﷺ, begging what? To do that. They want to do it, right? Anything that they can seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Prophet ﷺ only gave them the permission of one thing only. If a person want to do it, right, then he can stay away from breaking his fast. He can just break with the water or something, and don't eat anything till the time of suhoor. And that's what is permissible. But he still has to still eat something before Fajr. But to have the 2 days like this without eating anything during the night, this is only for the Prophet ﷺ. He says, حدثنا موسى بن إسماعيل قال حدثنا جويرية عن نافع عن عبد الله رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم واصل, that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم واصل, meaning fasted 2 days in a row without eating anything during the night. فواصل الناس. So the people did the same. You see the eagerness and the happiness and the joy that they're following the Prophet ﷺ. Not, we don't want to go through the other way. This is how the Sahaba radiallahu anhu. Prophet ﷺ did that, فواصل الناس. So the people, they followed the Prophet ﷺ then. فشق عليهم فنهاهم. It was difficult on them. So the Prophet ﷺ forbade them. قالوا إنك تواصل. They said, O Prophet of Allah, you're making wusal, you're connecting the 2 days together. Then the Prophet ﷺ told them, لست كهيئتكم إني أظل أطعم وأسقى. I am not like you physically, I'm not like you. I keep on all night being given food and drink. Meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is providing for him. Not the physical food and drink. That you see him, that he does not eat anything. Alayhi salatu wassalam. He said, my state is not like your state. I keep on being fed or nutritioned or given provisions by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Prophet ﷺ forbade them from al-wusal, or from connecting the 2 days. He says, حدثنا آدم بن أبي إياس قال حدثنا شعبة قال حدثنا عبد العزيز بن صهيب قال سمعت أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه. I heard Anas بن مالك رضي الله عنه قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم تسحروا فإن في السحور بركة. Eat السحور, order, eat suhoor, because indeed there is barakah, there is blessing in it. This order is not a mandatory one. It's only recommended and very stressed one, of course, but it's not mandatory. It's not a sinful act if a person doesn't eat suhoor. يقول باب إذا نوى بالنهار صوما. The chapter, if a person have the intention to fast during the day. His intention, he would make intentions of fasting during the day. What is the ruling of this? Before we go to that, the fard fasting in Ramadan, you cannot have the intention during the day. The intention has to be before Fajr, right? So if a person, did not know that it's Ramadan, and he woke up in the morning and it was Ramadan, he should not eat and drink till the Maghrib, but he has to make up his day because he did not have his intentions during the night. And there is the issue: is one intention before the month of Ramadan is enough for the whole month, or every night of Ramadan you have to have intentions? Without going into the differences of opinions, Allahu A'lam, is that in every night you have to have intentions. But the intentions is not a word to be said, right? There's nothing whatsoever with one's tongue to be said. You don't say nawaitu an asuma kada kada. The intention is in the heart. You know in your heart that tomorrow is fasting and I'm fasting. And you don't have to stop and think and focus, and that's intention. No, there's no such a thing. It's already known in your heart. And the reason why they mention this issue, the only significance to it, right? If a person sleeps before Maghrib and wakes up after Fajr in Ramadan, if it happens, a person slept before Maghrib, right? And he woke up after Fajr, that means he was not awake at any time during the night. That person has to make up that next day. Why? Because he was not awake in the night to have the intentions of fasting. That's the only significance to it. But if you were awake at any time during the night, you don't have to be reminded, you don't have to be, did you make intention, this or that. You already have it in your heart that the next day is Ramadan. And also another situation is if a person is, say for example, he have a surgery or he's traveling or whatever, so he decided that he's not fasting tomorrow. He has a condition, right? So that person, he has to have his intentions if he changed his mind before the Fajr. So if after Fajr, the surgery is cancelled, for example, right, he has to make up that day. Because his intention was that he's not fasting that day. And that's why if a person is traveling, leave it. Don't make your intentions that you're breaking your fast the next day. You have the break, you can break your fast if you're traveling, right? This is another ruling. Whether you're traveling on a camel or whether you're traveling in the most comfortable way in the world, there's no difference. There's no such a thing. It's easy, this or that. Traveling is traveling. And if you're traveling, that means you have the permission to break your fast and you have to make up the day. But you do whatever is easier for you. If it's easier for you to not to fast, mashallah, do that. If it's easier for you to fast than to break the fast, then do that, and that's the sunnah. The sunnah in traveling is to do what is easier for you. Unless a person is traveling to commit a sin, that's a different situation. So with the traveling, if a person is traveling the next day, don't make the intention to break your fast. Make the intention that you're fasting the next day. And then when you travel and you find the matter that you need to break your fast. After you travel, after you left your town and so on. Because things can change and you might regret it. He says, وقالت أم الدرداء رضي الله عنها, she said, كان أبو الدرداء يقول, Abu Darda رضي الله عنه used to say to his wife, عندكم طعام, do you have food? فإن قلنا لا, if we said no, قال فإني صائم يومها. If we said there's no food today, he would say, I'm fasting today, this day of mine. And see again how they used to act, and that means that this is not to encourage, of course, the Muslim women not to take care of their family, not to cook or anything, but it's a valid thing, right? That means if he comes home, there's food today, there's no food, there's no big deal. That means this is what is done in the morning. The Prophet ﷺ would do that also. He comes after Fajr. Is there food today? There's no food. And imagine the whole house has nothing in it whatsoever. Then he would say that I'm fasting today. So his intention was in the morning. Right? This is only in the optional fasting. Only in the optional fasting, not in the mandatory fasting. يقول وفعل أبو طلحة وأبو هريرة وابن عباس وحذيفة رضي الله عنهم. All of these companions, they did that. They used to, in the optional fasting, sometimes would make the intentions during the morning, during the day. They said all the way to Dhuhr, no problem. But the reward of fasting will not start unless a person will have the intention that he's fasting, as long as he doesn't eat anything from Fajr time. Then he says حدثنا, and this will be the last chapter inshallah. قال حدثنا أبو عاصم عن يزيد بن أبي عبيد عن سلمة بن الأكوع رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بعث رجلا ينادي في الناس يوم عاشوراء إن من أكل فليتم أو فليصم ومن لم يأكل فلا يأكل. The Prophet ﷺ sent a man to call people in the day of Ashura, the 10th of Muharram, which was originally, in the beginning, it was mandatory for them, and then it was abrogated by the fasting of Ramadan. He says, the Prophet ﷺ, he sent someone to tell the people, the one that ate that day, the 10th of Muharram, when it was mandatory, then he should continue his fasting. أو فليصم, that means that he should fast. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَأْكُلْ فَلَا يَأْكُلْ, and the one that didn't eat, he should not eat. Right? That means whoever broke his fast, he should quit eating and drinking till the end of the day. That was in the 10th of Muharram when it was mandatory. Right? And whoever did not eat anything yet, don't eat, and that will be fasting for you when it was mandatory. So the same thing for Ramadan. If a person discovered he slept and he did not check the ru'ya or the hilal or whatever, and the next day they told him today's Ramadan. He didn't eat anything, and he did not have intentions during the night. He should not eat anything till Maghrib time. And to be away from the difference of thing, he should make up that day of fasting. And if he ate something, he should then stop eating and drinking till Maghrib, and he has to make up the day. Because of the hurmah of Ramadan. Ramadan has sanctity to it, that a person should not eat. And the same thing for a person, he's not fasting because of the condition, there's no harm on him. Some people, they make it difficult for others. That means if he has the excuse to break their fast, they say only to eat very minimum amount of food. He's not fasting. Yeah, maybe he should not eat in front of everybody. People might have bad expectations of him, right? But this is valid, it's permissible for him to break his fast, so there's no harm. We'll stop inshallah at this point, but there's one issue that I wanted to mention. It's there's no shyness in religion, but many people, they don't know this. You know that one of the things that breaks the fast is relations between husband and wife. And also, what breaks the fast, besides food and drinking, is any seminal fluid that comes out, right? Intentionally. If it comes when a person is asleep, a wet dream and so on, that does not break the fast. Even during the day of Ramadan. If a person slept, woke up, he has a condition, it does not break the fast. But if intentionally, which is haram, it's not permissible for a Muslim to do that. But if it's done, that breaks the fast, and it's a sinful act, and a person has to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and of course has to make up the day. Because some of the people, or some of the youth, they don't know these rulings, right? And this is an issue that definitely need to be addressed. And one of the goals of fasting is for people to be patient and to seek reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.